Hey guys, welcome back to the Dion Gaming channel. Today is the advertisement for this campaign, for I am already running one campaign on Thursday, but I have to use someone else's account for Fantasy Ground, and I'm not really too into Fantasy Ground. I would like to actually play tabletop, but that actually costs quite a lot, so I'm not going to do that either. I still need one campaign for, which is the same campaign that I'm running on Thursday, just a little bit lizard version. There's only 2 or 3 people in there. The one that I want to run here is for the D&D Beyond, and I want to run the characters that are specifically for the D&D Beyond. So let's go over that right now. The first thing is, when you actually play D&D Beyond, you have to actually buy some books to actually unlock some of the feature contents, especially if you want to use a Hexblader and so on. So for this campaign, all you have to do is go www.dndbeyond.com, register in there, and look at the free base characters that you can make, and that's what you're going to be using for my campaign. Second, I'll be using Roll20, and I'll explain that a little bit later, but let's actually go for the advertisement. This is actually in the D&D Beyond, which is the same thing as in the other campaign, but I have to use it in Fantasy Ground. The battle will be called the Battle of Amerish. It has a little whole history in there of where it actually started, in an area called, the continent called Hosen, and it's a battle between Ezimir, a dragon, and a angel called Amerish. Now, you'll start in the town of Inda, where there is a history which will be revealed in game, why Inda was so special and why are you guys in there, and basically how that actually progressed. And there you'll be actually allowed to, and here's a little spoiler, you will allow to choose 2 factions, and there was a hidden faction, but I'm just going to spoil it right now. It was supposed to be a thing just in case you went without going either faction, because I will not hold you up to the storyline if that's not what you want to do. So the first faction will actually be Amerish, and that would be supposedly Two Fingers, the 2 good guys. The 1 good guy, sorry. And then the other one is Ezimir, supposedly the bad guy, supposedly. And then the freedom of choice is going either side, and basically there will be a seal for that. Each one will have a seal for you to actually discover, and you may or may not pick the seal if you want. Amerish actually tells you that you need the seal to defeat the guy, but if in case there's some way, some miraculously way to be defeat either what you call maybe a god or almost an immortal person without weakening it without the seal, then even fine. Just remember that the seal does provide like cool power-ups like +1 to ability or +1 to saving throws, and all of those will be depending on this faction that you choose. So let's go for the base of the campaign. It will be 2-player choice freedom. It's the same thing as I put on the bottom, is your choice matter, and it actually changes the world around you. The startup level will be level 5 for 4 to 5 players. Right now I have another campaign on Thursday which actually only has about 3 players, and the reason why I actually technically say 2 is because I was, one of them might show up or might not show up. So again, it's 2 to 3. If the player can't make it, then we'll have an NPC of helping them out during that adventure, or maybe they're strong enough to help themselves. The level 5 will be 4 to 5 players, and obviously that's self-explanatory because they'll be strong enough to actually take some of the NPC there are in the game. The end game will be between level 20 to 25 depending on what you choose. There will be no more classes, which is what I said about the D&D, and the level up will be on the mileage. So it's certain events that leads to one area where you finish that event and basically you level up. The next thing that I want to cover up here is there will be some variant rules, and those will actually be explained in the beginning. If you don't like the variant rule, that's actually fine. You can go by the main rule and stuff like that, but here's one rule I only can have right now, which I want this. It's basically the spellcasting rule. You have a component spellcasting focus, and you usually have to have your usually spellcasting focus for if you don't have the material, but you use the component's pouch to put the materials in there and such. And the component pouch, it will be actually like a spellcasting focus. The reason you're holding the component pouch is that I want you to put gold in it if a specific spell tells you to put gold. Like if a spell costs 25 gold worth of diamond, then you just put your gold inside of there. So if you have 500 gold and you're all set for that, you don't have to worry about it to put any gold in there. That should cover up for whatever you have to do in the campaign. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I do not want a character level up to level 12 or something like that, and they found out that they need a piece of root of a phoenix of a crap that is all the way back at town. And you know, to keep the either the storyline or the adventure, you don't want to always go back to town to get this specific item to be prepared to go forward. So instead of that being a little bit more of the derail, I would like to just add you a way for you to have the component by you actually putting the gold in your pouch, and that would be much easier. It won't derail too much if you're actually going for a spellcaster. If you're not going for a spellcaster, then it won't matter too much. The second thing is I have been basically studying the rules a lot of many things in the game, and what Jeremy or someone the representative for the Wizard of the Coast makes a ruling of it. So for example, this is one of them, and the reason why I'm saying this is because you can actually read down. Basically there is one where you can actually hold a great sword in one hand, but you can't attack. You need two hands to attack, but why will you hold it in one hand? And the reason that is because you might put the sword down, facing downward, sheath a javelin, and throw it at them. And then you still have your two swords out there to fight back. You just have to put it in your hand. So when if you look over here, it says he's basically saying that switching between the one or two hand is a non-action. And then bottom says that's correct. So if you have, for example, a great sword in your hand, you can actually leave it at one-hander, sheath a javelin, and throw it. And the reason why this is because just in case if the players don't know the ruling and stuff like that, I'll be actually much studying for these rules, so you don't have to worry about it. This is technically my first DM for a campaign, but I'm doing so fine on Thursday that it seems that everybody's loving the way that this is going, because it's kind of like an RPG, freedom of choice, Fable style game. Now the next one is, because I want to actually put another spoiler out there, is that you can do a lot of cool things with this, which is basically the new javelin that I'm adding into the game, which is rare to find. But when you find it, you can do some niche thing in here. You can throw the javelin at an enemy, right? And you can actually read it right here. And you'll teleport to the enemy if you're melee, and you can actually make a melee attack against it, because the javelin allows you to without even using an extra attack. After you're done that, you can put your right hand back at your two sword and slash at the enemy with your extra attack, a feature that happens I think at level 5 or so. I think in between the level 5. And the cool part about that is that you can actually use action search, which allows you another action to use a main hand weapon, again your two grace horde or whatever you're using, to attack a monster, and then use your extra attack to attack a monster again. And the cool thing about it is the first, I will allow the players to describe their attack, because I want to hear how cool their attack sounds and stuff like that. So a player may say, okay, I put my sword down to my left, I sheath a javelin, I throw the javelin, see if it attacks hit. If it doesn't hit, you still teleport to the area, which should be next to the monster, allowing you to still use your extra attack. You just missed on the first one. But again, if it hits the monster. You see the person teleporting. He takes out the javelin, stabs it right in, then grabs his two hands, slash it down, uses action search, he slash it right back up, and then to horizontal and stuff like that. So he might say something like that. We never know what a player may describe their attack, but basically everything will go through, and then the player can describe how that beautiful scenery happened. So basically this is actually going to be in the game because I quite like it, and then it's called the Javelin of the Missing Step. So if you guys are playing a fighter, you're going to have a lot of fun. It's rare, but you will find it in some areas. Some areas may have 2, one area may have 1, and so on. So it's pretty cool. Another thing is in here is that we'll have very different weapon in here that I have, and I'm gonna go right here down here. There's a lot of weapon outside of PHB, which is the player handbook, and the reason that is because I would like the players to have some cool weapons out there. Not so crazy, but there's some who are pretty strong, but not so crazy. Unless you're like level 16, you will not receive like a crazy weapon or anything like that. So you may have a dagger that may return to your head and may do a 1d6 cold damage. You may have another dagger that is of fire damage. That's it, 1d6 fire damage. And the cool thing about this is because if you're using the light-handed two weapon handing rule, you have one stabbing at a person, and then as an offhand that you don't add your modifier that stabs the person for a different type of element of damage onto it. Or you may actually stab a person with a dagger and throw the other dagger and use it as a free command to come back to your hand, which is pretty cool things. There are also other type of weapons in here that have different element attributes, and at the same time there are different type of new arrows that I will be adding into this campaign. Very, very cool arrows. So that's a little spoiler out there for those who actually want to get into that. But yeah, all the weapons in here, I just don't want you to be spoiled, so please don't look at the other video that I made. This is some of the areas in here, and there are definitely a lot of monsters out there. You'll see here the type of monsters, but I can't show you because I want to keep that surprise for the player. This campaign has been worked on for 2 weeks, where I have put so much, how do I say, there's so much area in this campaign that you may discover or may not discover, but I have this for like maybe if we only see each other for a month or two, basically I have already a month or two worth of section. If we only see it once per week or something like that. If it's 2 per week, I think I have probably a month or maybe more, depending. So I just wanted to let you guys know that there will be those variant rules about the spellcasting will be all in the beginning of the campaign. If you don't want to follow that, that's fine. We want to follow the original rule where you might buy the components. That's actually fine. Everything will be based on the beginning of the campaign when we talk about it, and then when we're ready, we move in and so on. Now to move into the roll d20, which is what I'll be using, and the Discord. Now I'm not opening up the Discord because I have other players in that, which I have to make a new channel, and I don't want to spoil everything inside there. But basically, I'll be using Discord and Roll20, which I have put in another video, but because I don't want you to look at that other video, this is what I'm saying. The Discord will have an area where I may put music or may not, but it does have a roll d20, so you may actually be able to roll in there. The Roll20, which I want to do, which you can go ahead and sign in freely. By the way, it's a free account. You don't have to pay or anything like that. I'm using everything based on free. It's basically so I can use a lifetime where people are doing things. So this may be a character. For example, your character may be this one right here. And this map is basically not based on square. So as I click the layer and I put map layer in here, I basically put this map that had no squares to have squares. So that allows me to, like, if we have an encounter in here from this side and this side, you may actually be able to attack in certain area and so on. Plus, may have HP hidden or unhidden depending on how I might want to run my campaign and so on, or maybe depending on the seal that you receive. There will be a seal from there that reveals the monster's stats and stuff like that, but that's it for the future and stuff like that. This is actually a good niche area in case if someone is actually larger and you can actually see how much they can actually move and so on, or the regular size and so on. At the same time, a player can actually come down here and snap it, go like this and be like, okay, I want to move 30 feet right here. So the player will be like, okay, that's 30 feet, so go ahead and move your character that way, and then he'll just move it over here, and then basically he'll make an attack on whoever is next to it, and so on and so on. There are also cool things in here, which for me will be the DM roll, which is, again, there you go, I rolled at me and I have a 10 in here and so on. And then there's one where you guys can see your own rolls, which is right here. Let me see, 2d20. Really nice, and it's cool because it gets the excitement to actually see that if you actually gain a natural 20 and so on. So actually this is pretty cool. Oh, you also can come down here and type rolled 1d20 plus 5, which roll a 20, you see it. I got 11 on that one. But yeah, and it allows me to also transaction between the players in one area to the other area. So in case I want to have a fog of war, let me actually go down here for example. If I reveal the fog of war, hide area. You know what? I'll do this so you guys can see it. This is a fog of war, basically. Turn on fog of war. Yeah, sure. So basically, right here, you can't see anything. So when you're actually revealing an area, it's pretty cool because you just go like this, and the character can actually see this area and be like, oh, okay, so I can see that. All right, so I'll move all the way up here, and what do I see? I move 30 feet. What do I see? And okay, you basically see all this right here and stuff like that. You may have a monster here that appeared or something like that, and be like, oh, I see a monster, I'm going to attack it. I'm going to like wait in my turn, basically, like I'm gonna go for an attack and I'm gonna rush into it, and basically boom. It's actually pretty cool. So my Discord will be on the description below. It'll show you I think it's hashtag Dion3664. I'm not 100% sure, but I will be putting it on the description below if you're interested in actually playing. I'm looking between 2 to 5 players and stuff like that. If you have you and your friend wants to just play stuff like that, it's minimum it's 2. So it's actually great. You start at level 9 and then you'll continue through the campaign.